All right, interesting one. Well, in the last week, we've heard talk about Eubank Jr., what his next move will be. Well, I'm going to read what Sky Sports have here. Chris Eubank Jr. signs with Boxer and targets Canelo Alvarez showdown. We have big plans. So it says here, Chris Eubank Jr. has signed a major new partnership deal with promoters Boxer as he targets mega fights and vows to silence his domestic rivals ahead of his hotly anticipated return to action. I just want to interject that there's some quotes here from Eubank Jr. and all that stuff, and we'll get to that. I'll give my 2 cents on it now in a sec. But maybe is this Boxer using different terminology to other promoters? I don't know. But he says a partnership deal. Normally, when you hear of a fighter signing with Matchroom, Queensbury, Golden Boy, etc., they've signed a new promotional deal with Matchroom, with Queensbury, with Top Rank. Partnership deal. I don't recall Eubank Jr. having his own company. Maybe he does. I don't know. I don't recall it though. So maybe that's just different terminology Boxer use. I don't know. But I just did find that weird. I was like, partnership deal. It's not used to hearing. That's a bit different. Okay. Goes on to say the Brighton Star has forged his own reputation in the sport as well as continuing his family's legacy in a career which has seen him claim noticeable victories over the likes of Liam Smith, James DeGale, Arthur Abraham, Matt Korobov, and Dmitry Chudanov, and more. Just on that, the Liam Smith win might age very well if he beats Josh Kelly. The James DeGale win is probably his best win. But that was the Gale who retired the very next fight. Like, actually, no, sorry, he retired afterwards. He didn't even fight again, and he looked shot. I remember that fight well. That was in was that in the OVO? It was on ITV box office. I remember that in 2019. Might have been in the OVO. I'm not 100% sure where it was, but yeah, the Gale looked horrific. That he really did. The top-rated middleweight contender looked at his best last time out when he concluded his rivalry with Liam Smith with an emphatic 10th round stoppage win over the former WBO champ in front of a capacity crowd at the AO Arena in Manchester in September. I do remember that. It was a very good performance. Came through the adversity of the first fight. That was the first time he'd avenged the rematch as well. Or he'd avenged the loss as well. He never avenged the Billy Joe or the George Groves fight. Having joined forces with Boxer, the Las Vegas, Nevada based fighter, has now set his sights on the biggest fights available, targeting pound-for-pound stars Canelo Alvarez and Canelo Alvarez. He goes on to say, I'm very excited to have signed with Boxer and Ben Shalom. Don't think I've heard that said many times over the last few years, all right? I know, what can I say? They fit the direction I want to go in. We have big plans over the next 12 to 24 months. Jesus, how old are you, Eubank Jr. now? 33, 34? At that age, at middleweight, I mean, 12 months is not that long for a fighter in that kind of time frame. 24 months, 2 years. We'll even be around then. There are big fights in the pipeline, and these guys can make it happen. This is a partnership. I love the freedom and the leeway to work how I want to work, which is very rare. I'm in a position of power. I'm in a position to really control the direction that I want to go in. So I'm excited, Eubank Jr. said. I've been in the boxing game for 12 years and I'm still hungry. I'm still excited. I'm still in love with the sport of boxing. I'm in a blessed position right now where there are 4 or 5 different names out there that are mega fights that everyone wants to see. Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford, Conor Benn. Had to get that in there. Billy Joe Saunders, and that's just off the top of my head. There are many fights out there that can be made, even domestic. So I'm excited. So I'm in an exciting position. Is there anything on there? Boxer founder and CEO Ben Shalom said Chris Eubank Jr. is undoubtedly one of the biggest star attractions in boxing. He brings excitement and intrigue wherever he goes. Boxer is his natural home, and it's incredible to work with Chris to make sure we fully realise his huge potential and fierce ambition. We had the privilege of working with Chris on some massive fight nights in the UK, and there will be plenty more to come in the UK and worldwide. He is a bona fide pay-per-view star. The hunger and ambition is there. We can't wait to see him back in action and involved in some massive fights. So Ben Shalom, very happy about that. So let's talk about it. Let's dissect it. So Chris Eubank Jr. in terms of UK promoters, I mean, Ben Shalom is the only promoter he hasn't rubbed up the wrong way, if you think about it, because Frank Warren, that's never going to happen. I mean, Frank Warren, for a variety of reasons, does not get on with the Eubanks. I remember when Eubank Jr., let's just say he lost his pen, and that obviously burnt bridges with Eddie Hearn. going into the Triple G fight, which never happened, obviously, that's when he lost his pen. Eddie Hearn was kind of like, and Eddie Hearn spoken about that a few times, how difficult that was, trying to actually get the fight over the line, never happened in the end. He left Eddie Hearn, was going to actually fight on a Queensberry show. I forget, was he going to fight Tommy Langford? I think it was. He was going to fight on a Queensberry show. I think he was either going to he was going to defend the British title, or it was for the British title, one or the other. I go back, this was in 2016. Imagine going from talking about fighting Triple G to going to basically fight Tommy Langford. No disrespect to him. He was British level. Tommy Langford's retired now. And I remember very clearly, because I knew Eubank and Warren didn't have a great relationship even then. They really didn't. And I think one of the issues was, correct me if I'm wrong, was that, what was his name? Nathaniel Wilson, who was the half-brother of Chris Eubank Jr. I think he was meant to be on the undercard, and there was a lot of issues going around at the time, and yeah, that was going to cause a lot of issues. So Frank Warren, they never took that fight in the end, the Tommy Langford fight. So that was kind of Frank Warren's kind of see you later to Chris Eubank Jr. So he pretty much burned bridges with those two promoters, who were the two major promoters in the UK at the time. He's obviously been fighting on Sky Sports, just not officially as a boxer fighter. He now will remain on Sky Sports because that's where his last fight was, where his last few fights have been over the last few years. He'll remain on Sky Sports, but now he is officially in a partnership with Boxer. Judging by what he's saying there, I get the impression Eubank, maybe it's terminology that Boxer use, I don't know, but Eubank will have a bit more of a say kind of in things. That's just kind of how I would interpret what he was saying there. He's mentioning Canelo, he's mentioning Crawford. There was talk earlier on this year that the Crawford fight, and according to some people whose sources I respect, the Crawford fight was actually really, really serious. That wasn't just hearsay. That was a really, really serious fight that could have actually happened. In terms of Canelo, we're hearing he's one of the front runners. So if it's not Eubank, it could very well be Edgar Berlanga. Eubank Jr. is a very, very big name in the UK, and he is a big name in the UK. He is. People tune in to watch Eubank Jr. There's no ifs or buts. I remember him when he was fighting on a lot of Joshua's undercards, because he used to fight in a couple of Anthony Joshua undercards. And people wouldn't just tune in, well, they would primarily tune in for Anthony Joshua, but a lot of people really wanted to see Eubank Jr. He was on the names of a lot of the casuals. Were like, oh, Anthony Joshua's fight. Oh, Chris Eubank Jr. is on the undercard. People wanted to see him. They were interested in Chris Eubank Jr. There's always been that interest in him. Whether it's pantomime villain, and he kind of, after the whole Conor Benn debacle, he really endeared himself to the fans after it. So Eubank's always been, I agree to an extent what Ben Shalom is saying there, that Eubank Jr., he is kind of at the forefront of a lot of UK fans, not in America. And he will do good numbers in the UK, he normally does. He needs the right dance partners to do that, I believe. You couldn't put Eubank Jr. versus whoever on pay-per-view if it wasn't, a somewhat decent name. If he doesn't get the Canelo fight, he may get Eubank Jr. back out there in a kind of takeover fight. That's what they did when he originally started working with the Sauerlands, but obviously wasn't boxing, and he was on Sky Sports. I think the first fight or two were kind of just card fillers, and then he was in main events against the likes of Liam Williams, and then obviously Liam Smith amongst others. So this is probably the biggest signing that Boxer have done so far. He's the biggest name on Boxer's books, because again, Eubank Jr., with the right opponent, the opponents he named there, Crawford and Canelo in the US, they're big fights. In the UK, Conor Benn, whether you like it or not, it is still a big fight. Billy Joe Saunders, that rematch is a big, big, big fight. And I might do a separate video on it. I'll kind of think about that. But Billy Joe Saunders, no one knows what the hell's happening with him. Is he going to sign with Matchroom? Is he going to re-sign with them? Could he go elsewhere? What could happen? I think Billy Joe is near the end. But a Eubank Jr. fight, the beef that's there, it will be 10 years. Imagine that. That's crazy. It'll be 10 years now come November. That's crazy, actually. That really is crazy. I remember watching that fight at the time. That was on the undercard of Fury Chisora too. I think that was the co-main. I'm pretty sure it was the co-main, actually. That's crazy, really, when you think about it. Jesus. And both guys have always had that beef with one another. They've always had, you've done this, you've lost. There's always been that beef there. I think the UK fans would still take that fight now. So there is fights there for Eubank Jr. to get made. Let's just see what they do with him first. If he goes in there against Canelo and he gets obliterated, I'd say, well, any plan you have over the next year to 12 to 24 months is pretty much gone then. Depends on how you lose. If you get obliterated, probably not. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Eubank Jr. signs with Boxer. What are your thoughts? Good move, bad move? Are you indifferent? Do you think like his day is done? He's in his mid-30s now. Probably not going to do anything. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Peace.